Welcome to The Explainer. Today, let's break down one of the most critical decisions in any research project, choosing your population and sample. And let me tell you, if you get this wrong, the credibility of your entire study is on the line.
So imagine you want to study the habits of every single English language student in a university system. You're talking about a massive group, 12,000 people. The first big question you have to ask is, can you really survey every single one of them?
Well, for just about any study, the answer is going to be a hard no. I mean, it's just too expensive, it takes way too much time. Honestly, it's often just impossible. And that right there is why sampling is so incredibly powerful. Okay, let's dive into this.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the core problem, then we're going to build the blueprint for your study. After that, we'll check out two totally different ways to sample, and then we'll help you figure out which one's right for you.
Okay, first things first, we've got to get our key terms straight. You know, really getting this distinction is the absolute foundation for any good research.
Think of it this way. The population, that's the entire group you're interested in, right? All 12,000 of those students. The sample, that's the smaller, manageable group you're actually going to collect data from. And the whole goal, the dream, really, is to make sure that that small group gives you a true, accurate picture of the big one.
So before you even think about picking anyone to be in your study, you need a rock-solid plan. And this isn't guesswork, okay? Think of it like the architectural blueprint for your study's credibility.
There are 3 steps here that are just non-negotiable. You can't skip them. Each one builds on the last. And trust me, if you skip one, you're just asking for major problems later on.
You have to be incredibly precise here. I mean, incredibly precise. It's not enough to say university students. No way. You need to say something like undergraduate students enrolled in academic writing at 3 specific universities in Ho Chi Minh City during the 2024-2025 academic year. See? That level of detail is what makes your research solid and defensible. Okay, so here's the deal with the sampling frame. This is your actual concrete list of everyone. And if that list is flawed in any way, maybe it's incomplete or out of date, then your sample is going to be flawed too. It's that simple. You could have the best method in the world, but a bad list guarantees a bad sample. Period.
All right, so now for the million-dollar question. How many people do you actually need? And thankfully, this isn't a random guess. It's all about a statistical calculation that helps you balance 2 things: how precise you need your results to be, and how confident you want to be that your sample is the real deal.
So remember that population of 12,000 we were talking about? Well, if you run a standard formula, say you want to be 95% confident in your results, the magic number you'd probably land on is around 385. Yep, that's how many students you'd need to survey to get a statistically solid picture of the entire group.
Okay, so your blueprint is set. Now you come to a huge fork in the road. You have to decide, are you trying to make a big claim about everybody? Or are you trying to get a really deep understanding of a very specific group's experience? And your answer to that question determines everything that comes next.
All right, let's take that first path. The big rule here, the golden rule really, is that every single person in your population has a known, real chance of being picked. It's all about randomness. And that is the secret sauce that lets you make those big statistical claims about the entire population.
But this isn't just pulling names out of a hat. It's what I like to call smart random. See, instead of just picking from the whole giant pool, you first slice up the population into important subgroups, like year levels or different majors. And then you sample randomly from inside each of those little groups. Why do this? Because it guarantees you get a perfectly representative slice of every group that matters.
So check out how this actually works in the real world. A researcher was studying listening anxiety, right? They didn't just grab 400 students randomly. No, they were careful. They made sure their sample had the exact same percentage of first-year students, second years, third years, you get the idea, as the entire university. Doing it this way just makes their final conclusions so much more accurate and powerful. Okay, let's totally switch gears now and explore that other path. And this one is built on a completely different philosophy. Here, selection isn't random, not at all. It's deliberate, it's targeted, it's all about your research goals. So with this approach, you're not trying to create a tiny version of the whole population. Instead, you are laser-focused on talking to the right people. The ones who have that specific knowledge or that lived experience that you absolutely need to answer your question. You're basically hunting for what researchers call information-rich cases.
Here's a great example.
A researcher wanted to figure out how expert teachers use questions in the classroom. So what did they do? Did they survey a bunch of random teachers? Of course not. They went out and they handpicked 25 super experienced, professionally active educators. The key takeaway here is they chose deep expertise over a broad, representative sample. A totally different goal.
So the big question is, how do you choose? Do you go with probability or purpose of sampling? Well, it all comes back to one simple thing. What is your research question? There's no single best method here, folks. There's only the method that perfectly lines up with what you're trying to accomplish.
And this table just lays out the trade-offs perfectly. Look, if your goal is to say, my findings apply to all 12,000 students in this university, then you absolutely must use probability sampling. No way around it. But if what you want to say is, this is a super deep dive into how the best of the best teachers think, then purposive sampling is going to be your best friend.
And listen, this is not just some minor procedural step you check off a list. The legendary statistician William Cochrane warned us about this decades ago. Get your sample wrong, and you could invalidate your entire study. Think about it. Your sample is the foundation. It's what your entire claim is built on.
So as you start designing your own research, I want you to always come back to this one single, powerful question. Because your answer is what's going to guide you to the right path, the right method, and in the end, a much more credible and impactful study.